Hi, welcome to another rendition of Mancala with Java. And this one is just to how to add a stub for the move program. The reason for having a separate one for creating the stub is to show you how to do so, because when you start writing larger programs, you're going to have to write stubs that return reasonable values. They have to take the expected parameters and then return a reasonable return value. And in this case, then I will be passing in a player so I can get the information about like the starting Mancala, the ending Mancala, or the starting pit, the ending pit, and the Mancala for each player and the player number, so that I can eventually return the proper number depending on what the rules are. Then with right now, the only thing that this program will do is return a 0, 1, or 2. 0 meaning there are no more moves left. 1 means the next turn is player 1's turn, and 2 means the next player's turn is player 2. So once we have done that, then we'll go ahead and show you what some of the changes are. First thing we'll show is the player. And what I should have added here was a modified line. And then I modified this probably about the 23rd of March, 2021, and added start, end, and Mancala values for each player. So player number. Okay, the things that I've added here are then a new integer, which we'll just pass in when it's created. This player is created, it has a name, and an integer with the player number, and it's either going to be passed in as 1 or 2. So therefore, if player is 1, then the start position of their set of pits is 0, its end position is 5, and its Mancala is 6. If it's not 1, then it's 2. So therefore, the start is 7, which is 1 after the Mancala, because everything just rotates around. The end is 12, and the Mancala is 13. If you notice, I am just using numbers here instead of letters, and I translate everything to letters to print on the board and handle the moves eventually. This is most of the stuff I need here, and if you notice, then I can return the name, the start, the end, and the Mancala. If you notice, all these are yellow because they're all being used. I'm not doing a separate call to set name because I already have this constructor here. So this is not being used, and the get Mancala is not yet being used, but it probably will be in the next rendition. So then let's go to board. And again, this should look very familiar. The one thing I did change previously was, let's see, the print dotted. Then I just added a, let's see, a single quote, an asterisk. And then I'm just going ahead and adding an asterisk to the end of the dotted line. And then just add the enter, because in this way it makes it a lot shorter. Before I add a print dotted line and always had false here, and then added a regular solid line of one character, and that just didn't seem right. So therefore I am going ahead and adding that dot. Then on the print player one, or print top player, notice then I have at the end, I have printing one dot and then true. So I'll go through and print a dot, the spaces, and then the next dot. And then if you notice, there's one difference. There's two spaces here and a %C, and labels sub I is a character. So it's going to put the character in this location. Then on this location, it's going to put whatever's in board sub I, which could be a 1 to 2 digit number starting with 0. So therefore, I'm going to have a space after the asterisk, and then 2 places for the digit. So it could be like 12 or 13 or something like that. And it would take the same width as 0 through 9. Then I have another space to make everything line up. And I do the same thing for the bottom player. And notice then this case, because I'm just starting off with the dotted line, and notice it's false, because then on the same line, I'm having the number of stones in each pit printed out, and then the labels. So this is what I want. And then at the end, I'm just going to do a solid line, because I don't want any spaces, because I don't need any spaces. So I'm just going to put a solid line, which is a dot at the very end. Then likewise here, the print solid line, the print dotted line, I have 8 dots, which prints across 8 with 4 spaces after each of those dots. And at the end, it's going to print us last dot. So everything lines up nicely. Then in here, print top player, then print bottom player. And I'll take care of printing all the pits and labels for each. Then coming down here, this is where I put just the board and handles everything. And these are the full instructions. And then all I have here is I have a random number, get random here, and set return value to 0. Then I'm going to and then have a choice, character choice is that, and then I'm just going to say get name. So I am using the get name, get start, which gets the start pit, get end, which gets the end pit. And then this is just a print, so it prints it out on the same line and leaves a colon blank so that I can then input the next input, which will just get the string there. And then I'll change it to upper and just take the first character so that I can then translate it, which I don't do yet, but then I'm just doing a random value, next int, and 3. So it's going to return either a 0, 1, or 2, which is I want. And then it just prints out the message here, which then just helps me for debugging, and it returns. And we'll go ahead and build this. and run it. Notice we have the name of the first player and train buffs will know what a Fred and Wilma are. And now it shows what it is. And right now it doesn't even check to make sure I have a reasonable number. And notice then random number returned 2. So I can put in another letter. And now it's back to 1's turn. And finally it returns 0, which then just shows that it's working the way I expect it to. If there are any questions. And then these are the instructions, which I will go ahead and print out for the 4th assignment. And